We continue our series of Meet the Manager videos today as we're joined by Kristy Fong from Aberdeen Standard Investments. Kristy is an investment director at Aberdeen and one of the lead portfolio managers on the London-listed Aberdeen New India Investment Trust. Kristy, thanks very much for joining us.
Very happy to be here.
I wondered, as an introduction, you could tell us what the investment objectives are of the trust, and maybe briefly describe your investment style, the investment style that the team use for investment.
The objectives of the investment trust is to provide our investors long-term capital appreciation through listed equities of businesses in India.
And in your investment style, so you look a lot about the quality of business. Could you maybe describe a bit more about what you mean by quality?
Yes, so that is a key investment process for us. What we want to do is to buy high quality companies, which means buying companies with strong business moats, robust financials, and most importantly run by management teams that we can trust. Sure. We do this as a team, and that's important to stress. Because as a team, we have been invested in India for almost 20 years now. We have a good idea of who to trust and who not to. And it is by being on the ground, doing our own due diligence, that forms our view of what makes a high quality company.
Sure. Yeah. So we've written a number of research publications recently talking about what we see as the investment opportunity in Asia, and clearly the very large population and a youthful and growing one in India is a big part of that story. I wondered if we could maybe take one company example from the portfolio that really exemplifies the opportunity in that domestic consumption market.
Yeah, that's what we find very interesting about India, and we believe that a very familiar name to you, Unilever. It has a subsidiary that's listed in India that's very well placed to benefit from the structural tailwind. They are the biggest in consumer staples, and they continue to get bigger because they can leverage on their parent company's know-how of doing business and also having a very wide range of very strong a strong portfolio of brands. And what's more important is that they operate they have a long experience operating in India. They have the biggest distribution reach. So you're not just buying a company that's selling to a consumer in urban India, but also to rural India. And although they are multinational, their portfolio is very much locally adapted, and they do this very well.
So the Prime Minister Narendra Modi won an election, pretty decisive election back in May. I wondered, I appreciate you're very much bottom-up investors looking at individual companies, but could we talk about the kind of the reform policy that's going on in India and whether there are any kind of implications for at a portfolio level?
Yeah. Well, first of all, we like businesses and companies that do well despite of the macro and despite of the government, but obviously a good government is always better for the wider Indian economy, and our holdings will benefit from that. What the Modi government has done well, or at least he's made very difficult and controversial measures, which include the implementation of a unified tax code, the GST, that reduces the cost of doing business in India. He's also announced the bankruptcy code, which really reflects his intention to address corruption and improve governance. Now, these are measures that are good for the longer term of India and might be disruptive in the near term. There's still a lot more that he can do. India still needs certainty in policies, labor reform, land reform. Yeah, and these are the measures that we look forward to. Yeah.
Sure. So you touched on it at the start about one of your key measures or key part of the investment process on looking for quality businesses is on a strong management team and good governance practice. I wondered if I could get another stock example off you that really, again, exemplifies what you're looking for in that regard.
Okay. I think first of all, when we look at good governance and why it is important, it really is about buying a company with strong integrity that makes decisions for the benefit of all stakeholders, not just one stakeholder, which could well be the case of a family-run or family-backed company. And that's important. And it's also important to be looking at board level to have that check and balance. And also, governance to us also means having that structure that will allow for the continuity or rather the longevity of the business. So many of our companies and our holdings would represent good governance. The one that I can share is Tata Consultancy Services. It is backed by the Tata Group, so a very high-profile, reputable family. But as a company which is the biggest IT outsourcing services player, it is professionally run. And because of this professional management that is progressive and thinks about running the business for profitability, they've also been very good at adapting the organization as the whole industry in terms of in IT services is changing. And they have done very well in this regard as we have seen various disruptive trends coming out of digitalization. So they are and continue to be the best leading Indian IT outsourcing company. And we have seen this in the numbers as well. I mean, the governance aspect also is reflected in how they reward shareholders. So as a company that has been very profitable and generates very strong cash flows, they have been one of the few in India that have a proactive capital management policy. So they have been doing share buybacks, which enhances the returns for minority shareholders too.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Kristy, thanks very much for your time. I appreciate you coming in. If you'd like any further information on the Aberdeen New India Investment Trust, please contact your investment manager for a copy of our recent research notes. Thanks very much.